Welcome back to the deep dive. I want to start today with a scenario that I think is going to be, well, painfully familiar to anyone who's ever managed a customer base.
Oh, I have a feeling I know where this is headed.
You probably do. I mean, picture this, right? It's Monday morning. You pull up your CRM, your Salesforce, your Zendesk, whatever it is.
Yep.
And the dashboard's green. Tickets are being closed. Response times look fine. Everything seems stable. And then you get that email. Your second largest account just churned.
Gone. The silent exit.
Completely silent. And you're just left there scrambling, looking at this massive database and thinking, we have terabytes of data on this customer. How did we miss this?
It's what I call the digital filing cabinet problem.
The digital filing cabinet.
It just fits, doesn't it? I mean, we spent the last 20 years perfecting the system of record. That's your CRM. It's a fantastic filing cabinet. It's incredibly good at telling you what happened.
Right. Ticket 402 was opened at 2 p.m.
Exactly. But it's surprisingly terrible at telling you why it happened or, and this is the key, what is going to happen next.
So it's all hindsight.
It is 100% rearview mirror. And our deep dive today is all about smashing that mirror. We're looking at a huge shift that's happening right now, moving from that system of record to what we call a system of intelligence.
And the vehicle for the shift, based on the research we've got in front of us, is the SupportLogic Data Cloud.
That's the one.
Now, I have to be honest, when I first saw the briefing, my skepticism radar went off a little. Data Cloud, intelligence layer. Sounds like marketing bingo.
Sure.
Is this just another fancy dashboard you slap on top of Salesforce to make the charts look prettier?
And I had that same initial thought. But when you really dig into the architecture, specifically how it integrates with Snowflake, it's clear this is doing something fundamentally different. It's not just visualizing data. It's an AI-enriched telemetry layer. Oh, wow. Think of it like a refinery.
A refinery.
Yeah, it sits between all your messy, raw back-end data and the place where you actually need to make decisions.
So the mission for today is to figure out how we stop fighting with our CRM and, start actually outsmarting it.
Exactly. Moving from reactive firefighting to predictive experience management. That's the real goal here.
Okay, so let's get into the how, because AI is probably the most overused word in the world right now. Everyone says they have it. But SupportLogic is claiming to turn raw text, all this unstructured mess, into actual data. How does that practically work?
So it relies on this roster of what they call AI agents. But don't think of agent like, a chatbot talking to a customer. These are background workers. They live inside the data pipeline itself.
Okay, so who are these workers? What do they do?
Well, the first, and I'd argue the most important, is the sentiment agent.
Now, hang on. Sentiment analysis. That's not exactly new, is it? We've had tools that look for bad words for like a decade. Customer types angry, the system flags it. Is this different?
It's a radical difference. The old way was just keyword spotting. It was so clumsy. I mean, if a customer said, great, another delay, a keyword spotter just sees great and thinks it's positive.
Right, it misses the sarcasm completely.
Exactly. SupportLogic uses what's called aspect-based sentiment analysis. So it's reading the context, the grammar. It's not just looking for a word. It is quantifying the customer's emotional state about specific parts of your product or service.
So it basically eliminates the need for those surveys, the rate us 1 to 5 emails that, let's be honest, nobody ever fills out.
Ideally, yes. I mean, think about it. Surveys are so biased. Only the super happy or the super furious ever respond. This sentiment agent, it gives you the real voice of the customer from 100% of interactions.
Okay, so that solves the bias. But what about continuity? I feel like the biggest frustration for customers is just having to repeat themselves over and over.
The context gap, yeah. And that is where the summarization agent comes in. This uses generative AI, think of the LLMs like in ChatGPT, to synthesize the entire history. So instead of a support rep having to read a thread of 50 emails...
Which they never do. Realistically, they scan the last 2.
Exactly. And they miss all the important nuance. The summarization agent condenses that whole chain into a short, accurate summary. It keeps the story straight.
That's huge for efficiency. But the outline also mentioned an account health agent and a prioritization agent. How do they fit in?
They're about zooming out. The account health agent starts connecting the dots. It stops looking at individual tickets and starts looking at the whole relationship. It gives you that longitudinal view.
So it separates a single bad day from a real pattern of decline.
It separates the signal from the noise. Yeah. And the prioritization agent then takes action on that signal. Usually support keys are just first in, first out, or worse, the squeaky wheel method.
Whoever uses all cap ES in the subject line gets help first.
Precisely. Which is, a terrible way to run a business. This agent assigns an urgency score based on real data sentiment, account value, history, not just who's shouting the loudest.
Okay, so we've got this layer of agents turning text into insights. That's the magic. But I want to pivot to the plumbing, because usually integrating a system like this, it's a total nightmare.
The data engineering nightmare, I know it well.
Yeah, you know the drill. We need to build a pipeline. It takes 6 months. The Python script breaks at 3 a.m. The data in the dashboard is 3 weeks old.
Yep.
The source material here highlights something called Snowflake to Snowflake's Zero-Copy Secure Sharing. It's a mouthful.
It is, but it's basically the antidote to that whole nightmare.
Okay, so break that down for me. Zero-copy. What does that actually mean in practice?
Well, in a traditional setup, you have to do ETL extract, transform, and load. You're physically copying data from app A to app B. It takes time, costs money, and it gets out of sync.
It's like emailing a spreadsheet back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, nobody knows which version is the real one.
That's a perfect analogy. Zero copy is more like using Google Sheets. You're not sending the file around, you're just granting access to view the file where it lives. SupportLogic opens a secure window into their Snowflake tables for your Snowflake account.
So the data literally doesn't move.
It doesn't move, it stays in its secure perimeter, but you can query it like it's your own. This means there's basically zero latency. The moment SupportLogic processes a ticket, that insight is available to you.
That solves the speed issue. But what about the messiness, the data sanity problem that kills these projects? Salesforce calls it account aid, Zendesk calls it or greedy.
And that's usually where the data engineers quit.
Right, so SupportLogic handles this by providing a standardized schema. They act as a cleaning house. They ingest data from all those different places and map it to a single unified model before they share it.
So they do the dishes before they put them in the cupboard. Exactly. And they make sure the cupboard doesn't collapse. They use something called Snowflake Dynamic Tables, which are auto-indexed. So even if you have 10 years of history and run a big query, it doesn't crash the dashboard.
Okay, for Snowflake users, this sounds amazing. But what if you're not on Snowflake? Are you just locked out?
No, they've thought about that. If you're not on Snowflake, they have automated exports to AWS S3 or Google Cloud Storage in standard formats like Parquet, or you can just use programmatic access tokens to plug in a tool like Tableau or Power BI.
So it's flexible.
It is. But that Snowflake to Snowflake integration, that's definitely the happy path where you get all that real-time magic.
This brings us to a strategic idea I found really interesting in the notes. The support CRM tax.
Ah, yes. This comes from Krishna Raja, the CEO of SupportLogic.
The support CRM tax. It sounds like something I'd pay to the IRS, but I'm guessing it's more about technical debt.
It's about the cost of silos. Most big companies are fragmented. You might have Salesforce for your sales team, Zendesk for Tier 1 support, maybe ServiceNow for internal IT.
And none of them talk to each other.
Rarely. And because all the intelligence, all the customer history is locked inside those specific apps, you're trapped. If you want to switch away from Zendesk, you lose your company's brain. You lose years of context.
That's the tax.
That's the tax. You keep paying that subscription because you're terrified of losing the history.
So how does this architecture fix that?
It introduces what they call the CRM-less architecture. Now, that's a bit of a misnomer. You still need a CRM to log the tickets, but the idea is to make the CRM, less important.
You treat the CRM as a utility, not the brain.
Precisely. You move the brain, all the intelligence, the sentiment, the history into the SupportLogic Data Cloud, and effectively that means it lives in Snowflake. That becomes your single source of truth.
So if I decide tomorrow I hate my ticketing system, I can just swap it out and my intelligence layer doesn't even blink?
That's it. Your historical trends, your health scores, they're all safe in the data cloud. It completely prevents vendor lock-in.
Wow. That's a huge strategic shift. It moves the center of gravity from the application itself to the data.
Which is where it always should have been.
Okay, but we have to talk about the bottom line. Coolest tech stack in the world. Doesn't matter if the CFO won't sign the check. The notes bring up a metric called revenue at risk.
This is where we bridge the gap between support and finance. I mean, traditionally, support is just seen as a cost center, right?
Yeah. Keep the costs down, keep the complaints down.
Exactly. But with this, you can overlay that sentiment data with your actual financial data. You can see, okay, account A is furious and they pay us $10,000 a year. Account B is just annoyed, but they pay us $10 million.
And right now, without this system, those two tickets might look absolutely identical in the queue.
Or worse. The $10,000 account might be shouting louder so they get the resources.
Oh.
Revenue at risk lets you prioritize based on actual financial impact. It directly improves your net retention rate.
So support is suddenly protecting revenue, not just fixing bugs. That changes the entire conversation.
It changes everything.
There's another human element here too, upskilling. I feel like support agents get measured on metrics that actually punish them for doing a good job.
You're talking about MTTR, mean time to resolve.
Yes, it just encourages you to get off the phone as fast as possible.
It's such a flawed metric. If I'm a terrible agent, I can hang up on you or give you a quick wrong answer. My MTTR looks fantastic. But if I'm a great agent, I'll stay with you for an hour to really solve the root cause, and my MTTR looks terrible.
So how do we fix that measuring stick?
We stop measuring speed and we start measuring quality. By merging the sentiment signals with agent insights, you can identify what they call the turnaround artists.
The turnaround artists.
Yeah, the agents who can consistently take a customer who starts a call at a sentiment score of 1, furious, and ends the call at a 5, delighted, regardless of how long it takes.
That is the metric that actually matters.
It is. And once you find those people, you can use their interaction data to train everyone else. You can say, look at how Sarah de-escalated this. Let's build a training module around it. You're basically cloning your best performers.
So better retention for customers and, frankly, better retention for your staff because they're not being micromanaged by a stopwatch.
It makes the job meaningful again. You're rewarded for solving problems, not rushing.
Okay, I want to close by looking ahead. The notes mention 2026 and beyond, specifically Snowflake Intelligence and RAG. This feels like the next frontier.
This is where we move from just reporting to reasoning.
Define that difference for me.
Reporting is, here's a chart showing churn went up. Reasoning is, churn went up because of the pricing change we made on Tuesday, specifically impacting customers in the EMEA region.
It's the why.
It is the why. And the mechanism for this is an internal data copilot. Imagine layering a large language model like GPT-4 over all this clean, enriched data we've been talking about.
Whoa, so wait, you're saying I can just talk to my data?
Yeah. Essentially, yes. Instead of a manager spending 4 hours in Excel trying to build some pivot table, they just type. Find all accounts with ARR over 250K that have shown declining usage in the last quarter.
And because the data is clean and structured,
the system just finds them. But it goes even deeper with something called Argyle Retrieval Augmented Generation.
We hear that acronym a lot. Explain it in this context.
Well, standard AI models can hallucinate. They make stuff up because they don't know your business. Argyle lets you use all your SupportLogic data as a textbook for the AI. You're grounding it in your specific facts.
So if I ask it a question, it's looking up the answer in my filing cabinet, not the whole internet.
Exactly. It turns your history into a queryable memory. You can build internal tools that actually know what they're talking about.
It sounds like we're moving from just passive monitoring, staring at dashboards, to active intelligence pipelines.
That's the term the industry is moving toward. Instead of you having to go find the problem, the system alerts you. Usage dropped 42%. Risk is elevated. It pushes the insight to you before you even know you need to ask.
It feels like we are finally closing the loop on what this technology was supposed to do 20 years ago.
It really does. We're finally letting the computers do the computing so the humans can focus on the relating.
We've covered a ton of ground today. We started with that terrifying image of the digital filing cabinet.
Stuffed with data, but completely void of answers. And we walked through the solution, the system of intelligence.
We broke down the AI agents that clean and enrich the data. We looked at the zero ETL architecture that solves the data integration nightmare.
And the strategic freedom that comes with that CRM-less architecture.
And finally, how this all translates to hard dollars through revenue at risk and the future of reasoning with data.
It's a comprehensive shift. And if I can just leave the listeners with one final thought.
Please.
Stop treating your support data like exhaust. It's not a waste product. In 2026, support is a real-time stream of market intelligence. It should be telling your product team what to build next. It should be telling sales who to call.
It's the pulse of the company.
It is. But if that pulse is locked inside a proprietary CRM, you are flying blind. You are only ever seeing history. If you want to see the future of your customer relationships, you have to move that intelligence out of the app and into the data cloud. That is where the future lives.
A pretty compelling argument for breaking down those silos. I have a feeling a few listeners are going to be side-eyeing their Salesforce dashboards a little differently tomorrow.
I certainly hope so.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. As always, stay curious, and we'll catch you on the next one.